Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Shit has officially hit the fan. What we talked about in the video earlier today actually happened. I don't know why we keep predicting the future, but we have done it again. And not in a good way. In today's video, we will talk about Trump going nuclear on this economy, on trade with China. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. You hear this for your money's sake. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out that link down below in the description of this video. Come join the trading community as we are navigating these, can I say, uncertain times in markets. We're going to make sure, just like in April, we were winning coming out of that. I know a lot of people get emotional, a lot of people get scared and fearful, and oh my gosh, you're seeing your portfolio go down thousands of dollars, but this is when you need to hunker down, get in the trenches, and hold on. While shit's going crazy around you, this is when you solidify your financial success, okay? There's always rain before there's rainbows. But if you go in the house because you're scared of thunderstorms, you're never going to see the rainbow. So, metaphors aside, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into this developing situation. S&P fell 2.7% today, down another 0.9% here in after hours. And unfortunately, it's not over. This is not the last of this, okay? Good news is markets were really strong before today. So, you know, is it going to be different this time around versus April 4th or April 2nd, but really the selling happened after that? And the answer is yes, because it's only one country that's being really attacked here, and that is China. Unfortunately, that is the most important country. So how does all of this go together? How is this going to affect your portfolio and your money? Well, let's first get into what Trump just announced. Yeah, I don't know how we're predicting the future like this, but we are. Okay, so here is the deal. Donald Trump on Truth Social says, "It has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world stating that they were going to, effective November 1st, 2025, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make, and some not even made by them. This affects all countries without exception and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. It was absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. Based on the fact that China has taken this unprecedented position, and speaking only for the USA and not other nations who were similarly threatened starting November 1st, 2025 or sooner, depending on any further actions or changes taken by China, the United States of America will impose a tariff of 100% on China over and above any tariff that they are currently paying. Also, on November 1st, we will impose export controls on any and all critical software. It is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Donald Trump said earlier today that America needs to get ready for some pain in this scenario. It's not a great situation. Okay, let me see if I can find that real quick. You can see another headline here. United States of America will impose a tariff of 100% on China over and above any tariff that they are currently paying. Let's just go ahead and pull up the original Truth Social here, because I just want to point out one thing for you guys. Just one thing that is here. And it's towards the bottom. It says, "I wonder if that timing was coincidental after peace in the Middle East, dependent on what China says about the hostile order that they have just put out. I will be forced as president of the United States of America to financially counter their move. For every element that they have been able to monopolize, we have too. I never thought it would come to this, but perhaps, as with all things, the time has come. Ultimately, though potentially painful, it will be a very good thing in the end for the USA." Trump says it's going to be painful. Yeah, if you're in stocks, it's going to be painful for a period of time. For the economy, it's going to be painful. There's one difference, though, now versus April 2nd and the 20% crash that we've seen. China is the big dog as far as trade, okay? Single country by country basis, China is by far the most important. On April 2nd, though, it was really like a trade war on the entire world. Right now, it's targeted to China. That's the good, okay? If there's any positive to differences to point out from April 2nd, it's that. It's just China, 100% tariff. This is not like a broader threat on everyone else. Unfortunately, this means there will be a trade embargo with China starting on November 1st. What this is going to do in simple terms is raise inflation expectations. That's not great. It's going to lower economic expectations for the economy, for earnings, which is, to the basic principle of markets, what sends stocks lower. Okay. And if this trade embargo lasts a long time, you are 100% going into a recession. Like, there is no other way around this. The question is, there's not like a definitive timeline on this. If we are seeing a trade embargo with China for a month, does that cause a recession? Does it need to be 2 months or 6 months? How long does it have to be? But effectively, on November 1st, there will be no more trading with China. What that is going to mean is there's likely going to be a pull forward of demand. This comes at a really bad time in the holiday shopping season. So, I mean, what does that have as far as implications for inflation? You know, I don't know, but they can't be good. Now, what's interesting about this is a lot of Wall Street today, they were like, yup, it's not going to happen. Trump's not going to bazooka China again. And it happened. So, you know, you can even see, judging off of the VIX today, which, yes, did go up quite a bit. It didn't go up nearly as much as you would think, or it's still sitting at a pretty low level overall, especially like the UVXY. Wall Street hedged a little bit, but they did not hedge nearly enough for 100% tariff on China. Now, another piece of good news is, if this is resolved quickly, then it's business as usual again. You just got a really good buying opportunity in sharp order. But so much for a trade deal with China. Okay. And if this does last a while, you're going to go into a recession. Almost definitively. So there's, again, the balancing of, hey, is this a buying opportunity, or are we just going into a recession and stocks are going to fall even further? I think there's a lot of cyclical growth areas that are firing right now, like AI, data center, energy, batteries. You get the idea. The labor market's weak. That's an offset. This is not going to help the labor market by any means, not in the short term, not just uncertainty in general from a business perspective. Businesses don't want to make any drastic moves when you're seeing tariff swings like this. So labor market's in a little bit of trouble. And what does it mean for the Fed? I mean, I think the Fed is at this point going to be more concerned with supporting the economy, but it also does give more of a reason to not cut rates. And that's, I guess, a double negative. We'll have to see how the Fed takes this, but yeah, it's not ideal. Okay, definitely not ideal if you own stocks. You can see bond yields today actually, they actually did fall about 9 basis points. So there was quite a drop on 10-year Treasury yields. So investors were looking at this as this is going to be a growth issue, not a recession issue. Now, here is the deal, okay? Me personally, I put on a little hedge, like $600 worth of a hedge in UVXY today, towards the end of the bell. We're not setting up to have a great week next week, okay? Now, that is not even close to enough to hedge my portfolio. That's a baby hedge. That's basically going to do nothing for the portfolio, okay? Now, what I'm really doing right now is I did buy actually 2 stocks in after hours that just got absolutely decimated on this news. I think it was a little bit of a liquidity vacuum that happened in 2 stocks in particular. One was down like 20% in after hours. One was down 10% in after hours. So I think there's selective buying opportunities in this liquidity vacuum, but you do want to have as much cash as possible and be raising as much cash as possible. That means picking up an extra shift, doing whatever you have to do to be in a position to buy, okay? And you don't want to throw all your eggs in one basket too prematurely, okay? But you do want to start systematically buying because this could reverse at any time. And if we only have a couple days of this tariff on China or something, and it's reversed, you're not going to have a recession. And stocks are going to resume doing well. The question is, how long does it last? That's the big question. Bro, you can't make this shit up, dude. Trump says, quote, other options could be considered for export controls. Like, oh yeah, we're not going to throw a 100% tariff on China. Might do something else. Maybe send a nuclear submarine or fucking, who knows? I'm just making shit up here, but I'm like, why did the markets pop like that? I don't know if that's a good or bad headline, to be honest with you. Okay. Or if Trump talked to Xi, I don't know. Trump says meeting is not canceled with President Xi. If you were buying the dip, maybe that was a good idea. Because what the F is even happening these days? Okay. I'm like lost for words, dude. Trump says that he'd assume that we might have it. Like the meeting with President Xi. And then he goes on to say that he doesn't know if he will meet with President Xi. So some people in the markets, clearly you could see that reaction right now, are like, well, wow, after all, like, maybe we don't get the tariffs. Maybe this is just Trump being Trump, saying shit, trying to gain a card in this poker match. Like, I don't even know. Like, honestly, you need to be ready for literally anything to happen for the next 3 years. For the next 3 years, you need to operate your portfolio based on any freaking thing can happen. You could wake up on a Friday morning and hear, boom, catalyst for a recession. Watch out. U.S. is going to feel pain, but China is going to feel more pain. Game of pain. And then you need to be prepared for things to go really good. And the markets to continue to soar higher. It's a very weird place that we are in right now. And I think this just creates a lot more uncertainty to what's going to happen. Okay, Trump says on Monday, hostages come back. They are getting them. So Trump is obviously talking right now, and we'll see. I know that Trump doesn't like when the markets come down. He kind of uses it as a report card, and part of what Trump may have tried to do today is make the markets just respect what he says, show him that he's still in charge. You know, Daddy Trump is in charge. I don't know. But it sounds like Trump might be trying to create an off-ramp at the same time as he's ramping things up with China. I don't know. Markets are still down 0.41% in after hours, but that is quite a move on those comments right after markets had hit a fresh new low here in after hours. So again, just to recap, Trump says, hey, China, we're throwing a 100% tariff on you starting on November 1st. And then markets freak out here in after hours. And then Trump says, oh, yeah, maybe we'll still meet with the president of China. That doesn't take away from the first statement, but it shows that maybe there is an off-ramp, that communications are not dying between the two countries, that maybe there's hope that we won't get those tariffs put on, that things will just be worked out. But honestly, you need to be ready for anything to happen. I think right now, besides small hedges, like I don't think this is a time to go out and like hedge half your portfolio. Like don't just start YOLOing into puts here. The best thing you can do to give yourself the highest probability of success, as long as you are not in a crap ton of margin, is just have as much cash as possible, have as much buying power possible while stepping into markets. That's what we did back in April. We started to leg into markets on those really red days. And then once you get to a certain point, the risk reward dramatically shifts, right? Once you get down 10, 15, 20% on markets, the risk reward starts to get really good that you should plow even more money into markets, right? And we'll see if something like that happens again. But as you get these red days, you need to be putting some money to work, because the larger backdrop has not changed yet. I'm expecting a stronger economy, lower inflation, AI to be booming, this growth wave to come, and consumers to get better. That has not changed. Trump's comments and new policies could change that, but as of now, it hasn't changed yet. So very strange market to be involved with. I think the highest likelihood is some kind of deal gets worked out. You know, Trump creates an off-ramp. Maybe this is step one of that. But, I mean, again, you need to be prepared for anything to happen in this market environment for the next 3 years. So let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.